Her study sessions were too frequent to be just about books. I decided to drop by unannounced, and what I saw confirmed my worst fears. Hey all, I'm a 25-year-old guy who's been in a relationship with my 24-year-old girlfriend for almost 2 years. Everything seemed great, and we were really happy together. Or so I thought. Recently, she started spending an unusual amount of time with her study buddy, a 26-year-old guy. At first, I didn't think much of it because she was preparing for some pretty intense exams. But then, these study sessions became more frequent, and I couldn't shake off this uneasy feeling. I decided to investigate further, and what I discovered left me devastated. Our relationship had always been built on trust and open communication. We would talk about anything and everything, and I believed we had a solid foundation. But things started to change when she began her exam preparations. Initially, I was supportive and even encouraged her to take the extra time she needed to study. I knew how important these exams were for her future, but the frequency of her study sessions with her study buddy raised some red flags. She'd be out late, sometimes even missing our planned date nights, always with the same excuse: I need to study with M26. One evening, I decided to surprise her by bringing over her favorite takeout for dinner. I thought it would be a sweet gesture and maybe give us a little break from all her studying. When I arrived at her place, I knocked on the door but got no answer. I had a spare key, so I let myself in, thinking she might be too engrossed in her books to hear me. As I walked down the hallway, I heard muffled voices coming from her bedroom. My heart started to race, and I felt a knot forming in my stomach. When I opened the door, I found her and M26 in an intimate situation. It was like a scene from a nightmare. They were so wrapped up in each other that they didn't even notice me standing there. I felt like my world had just come crashing down. The girl I loved, the one I trusted completely, was with someone else, and not just anyone, someone I considered a friend. I had actually met M26 a few times before. We had hung out together, and I thought he was a decent guy. We even shared some common interests and had a few beers together. I never suspected he would be the one to betray me like this. It added another layer of betrayal, making the whole situation even more painful. I finally found my voice and confronted them. My girlfriend tried to downplay the situation, insisting that it was a one-time mistake and that she still loved me. She said it was a moment of weakness, that the stress from her exams had gotten to her, and she had made a terrible mistake. But how could I believe her? The trust we had was shattered, and I didn't know if it could ever be repaired. As if things couldn't get more complicated, I found out that M26 is actually in a long-term relationship himself. This wasn't just a betrayal on my part. He was cheating on his own partner too. It made me wonder if either of them had considered the consequences of their actions. How many people were they willing to hurt for a moment of weakness? I'm left feeling devastated and unsure of what to do next. Part of me wants to end the relationship right here and now, but another part of me still has strong feelings for her. I'm torn between my anger, sadness, and the love I thought we shared. I haven't made a final decision yet, and I could really use some advice on how to proceed. So guys, I'm reaching out to you for help. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? Should I try to salvage the relationship, or is it best to move on? I really needed to get this off my chest because it's been weighing heavily on me. Any advice or guidance would be greatly appreciated.